Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Ibrahim Traoré's era. Listen closely. Burkina Faso is not waiting anymore. It is building its future with its own hands. Captain Ibrahim Traoré has done it again. He has delivered another major victory, this time, not on the battlefield, but in the economy. He has just opened two new factories, a cashew processing factory in Bobo-Dioulasso and a tomato processing factory in Péni. But this story is not about buildings. It is about independence, pride, and self-reliance. For decades, Africa has suffered from what many call the curse of raw materials. We grow everything. We mine everything. But we sell everything cheap, unprocessed, and buy it back from the West at 50 times the price. Farmers in Burkina Faso worked hard under the hot sun, collecting cashew nuts and tomatoes, only to sell them for a few coins. The foreign companies bought them, sent them abroad, processed them, packed them nicely, and sold them back to Africa for big money. This was the cycle of humiliation, where Africa worked and others got rich. But Traoré looked at that system and said, "No more. The wealth of our soil must stay in our soil." These new factories are not just for production. They are symbols of freedom. They prove that Burkina Faso's revolution is moving from guns to goals, from defense to development. The fight for independence is no longer only in the military, it is now in the economy. This is what Traoré calls the iron harvest of sovereignty. It means every field, every fruit, every worker now fights for the nation's future. The two new factories are also changing something powerful: the role of women. In Bobo-Dioulasso and Péni, more than 6,000 new jobs have been created. And guess what? 95% of those jobs belong to women. This is not a coincidence. This is strategy. Traoré knows that when you empower a woman, you strengthen an entire village. A woman's income feeds her children, educates them, and builds the next generation. So this is not just economic growth. This is national rebirth. The women who once stayed in the shadows are now leading in the factories, sorting, cleaning, processing, and controlling quality. They are the new economic soldiers of the revolution. Traoré calls this plan the 95% formula of total economic mobilization. These women are the protectors of the nation's wealth, the living proof that freedom is not only about guns, but also about jobs, dignity, and equal opportunity. Now let's talk about the tomatoes. For years, Burkina Faso imported tomato paste from Europe and America, even though its own farmers grew some of the best tomatoes in Africa. Foreign companies made money, while local farmers lost everything. But not anymore. The new tomato factory in Péni has changed that forever. Now, Burkina Faso produces its own tomato paste, pure, local, and national. By 2026, the country will stop importing tomato paste completely. That means millions of dollars that used to leave the country will now stay with the people, in the hands of farmers, workers, and families. That money will build houses, pay school fees, and feed the next generation. Traoré calls it tomato freedom. It's not just about food, it's about economic power. And here's something even more powerful. The backbone of this tomato success is the Prisons to Farms project. Before, Burkina Faso's prisons were overcrowded. Thousands of poor men sat behind bars, doing nothing. Most were not dangerous criminals. They were poor, jobless men who had stolen to survive. So Traoré made a bold, human decision. He said, "Let us not waste their strength. Let them work for the nation." He released hundreds of petty prisoners and sent them to farm the land. They were given tools, water, and seeds, and one mission: grow tomatoes for the nation's new factories. Now, those who were once called criminals are feeding the country. This plan solved three problems at once. It cleared the prisons, it cut government costs, and it built a strong farming network for the new factories. This is not punishment, it is redemption. A second chance for men to rebuild their lives while serving their country. This is how you turn pain into progress. Now back to Bobo-Dioulasso, where the cashew processing factory is changing everything. This is not just about roasting nuts. It's about creating new industries, transforming simple fruit into gold. This single factory can process 5,000 tons of cashews every year. And from those cashews, they produce 4 valuable products: cashew juice, cashew vinegar, cashew ethanol, and cashew wine. That's called value creation. It's what the West did for centuries. Now Africa is doing it for itself. The factory is creating 15,000 indirect jobs for drivers, sellers, repair workers, traders, and engineers. This is a full economic ecosystem, built by Burkinabe hands, powered by Burkinabe pride. This one project is worth more than all the aid France ever sent. Why? Because aid makes you dependent, but work makes you free. This is what Traoré means by the second economic independence. It is not a speech, it's a system. It's not talk, it's transformation. And that's the real message of these new factories. They are not just about tomatoes or cashews. They are about Africa standing up again. They say to the world, we don't need your charity. We don't need your pity. We can feed ourselves. We can build for ourselves. This is the rebirth of dignity. This is proof that Africa's second independence is not a dream. It's already happening. So to every African leader still waiting for foreign aid, the message from Burkina Faso is simple. Fight the terrorists, expel the spies, and build your own factories. That is how freedom is protected. That is how dignity is restored. Burkina Faso has shown the way, and the march toward total independence continues. The revolution is alive. The revolution is working. The revolution is unstoppable. This is Ibrahim Traoré's era.